I think that many women are like, okay, I want this partner, but they don't realize that they need to go ahead and show themselves that love first in order to be able to set those boundaries. Because not many women are actually able to voice their opinions because they're like, oh, I don't want to seem needy. And it's like, it's not you being needy, it's actually you confirming what you want.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Judy Diaries podcast. My name is Judy Rena, and today I have on a very special guest. Her name is Alejandra McRee, and Alejandra is just a regular girl who had her heart broken but turned that pain into love. She loved herself, saw her worth, and made her dreams into a reality. She manifested her husband at 23 years old after scripting on a Facebook post, and now helps women fall in love with themselves in order to manifest their soulmates too. So in this conversation, we talk about manifesting, we talk about dating, how to have strong relationships, and we also talk about self-love. So all that is coming right up. Let's dive right in. Thank you, Alejandra, so much for joining me today on the Judy Diaries podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. So you are a love coach.
Yes.
And I really want to know how you got into being a love coach. What made you get into it? And how did you just get to where you are today?
Well, the way I got into it, really, I mean, every girl gets her heart broken, right?
Yes.
So, what happened with me is in 2013, April 2013, I got pretty much fed up of dealing with boys that didn't want to go ahead and commit. And I call them boys because they just didn't know how to express themselves and communicate and say, yes, this is what I want. And I got fed up. And I wrote a post on Facebook. I was a little drunk. I was already home. I had been crying. And I wrote this note of pretty much putting it out to the universe of this is what I want. And I know that there is a love out there like me, and they're going to be able to love all of me the way I am. And I was like, I don't care about the age. I don't care about the ethnicity. I don't care about how they look as long as they know how to treat me and love me and support me. And I'll be reciprocating the same thing. And 4 months later, I started dating my now husband. And a year later, you know how Facebook reminds you of hey, you wrote this. I was like, holy shit, I manifested you, babe. He's like, what? I was like, I manifested you. I wrote these things and you are these things and even more. You cook, you love to have the place organized. I was like, you're all of these things and you take care of me, you love me, you feed me, which is the number one thing for me, right? And it was the most amazing thing from there. And I was like, I want everyone to be able to feel this way. And then, of course, with the pandemic hitting last year, I kind of dove into more of a self love journey within myself. When I met Sam, he actually was my best friend. I actually friend zoned him. I was like, I'm not interested in you. So then a year later, he was the guy that was always there for me. He picked up the phone at 2 in the morning when I would be crying my eyes out for guys that just didn't know how to appreciate me. And then afterwards, I caught feelings. And I ended up becoming more myself. He kind of boosted my self confidence. I was like, you know what? You're right. I am a badass. I can do anything. I've got my bills covered. I have my rent covered and everything. And I eat all the time. I take care of myself. And he's like, yeah, you're not giving yourself enough credit. And I was like, you're right. So ever since being with him, I've grown into this woman and I appreciate him for that. But I will give myself credit because I face the fears constantly every single day. And then I ended up having an event here with my girlfriends, and I realized that we as women do not talk about all the things that we go through. And I was like, there needs to be people that support more women out there to be their voice and to allow them to find their voice as well. So that's kind of how it ended up becoming a love coach.
Oh my gosh. So I can totally relate with friend zoning at the beginning. That's exactly what happened with me and my fiance right now. He it's funny because we tell that story all the time. He's like, you didn't even like me at first and now you're having my baby. I'm like, yeah, you're
Oh my
right.
God, that's crazy.
It is funny, but how long were you guys kind of best friends for before you started to realize that you had that attraction for him?
So we were friends, I want to say about for like 10 months. Like I started this company and this was a moment in a very low point in my life. I became depressed. I dropped out of nursing school. I had no job because I had focused on nursing school, and then I had car payment. I was living on my aunt's couch. So I had nothing and I was at a low point. I was so depressed, and then a month later, the job that I applied to called me, which is where he worked at. He was the second person I trained with. And we actually became really good friends off the bat. He was a very like caring person. And then we would go out and have a couple of drinks after work because it was just a busy time. And then we just got to know each other more. And kind of in the like 10-month mark, I guess you could say, in regards to that year, because I met him in August. We started dating the August after that. So from 2012 to 2013 is kind of where that relationship evolved. And then I want to say around this time, July, where I was like, I like Sam, because I was like, Sam this, Sam that, Sam that. And then one of my girlfriend was like, who's this Sam girl that you keep talking about? I'm starting to get jealous. I was like, it's not a girl, it's actually a guy. She was like, oh my God, are you interested? And I was like, holy shit, I am. So that's kind of how I found out that I caught feelings. And then I would mess around with him in regards to like flirting with him. I would whisper in his ear just to fuck with him. He's like, you need to stop doing that. And I was like, why?
That's so cute. So, how did you know that this being something that you went through, that this is something that you actually want to teach women and help them along their journey?
I wanted to do this because before I even went ahead and met Sam and started dating Sam, I had that window of like, you know what? Let me give myself that love. Let me go ahead and take care of me. Let me go ahead and show myself this amazing love that I should be able to experience. So I ended up having fun with my girlfriends. I ended up pretty much just working out, taking care of my body. I started drinking more water, which is the weirdest thing because that's something that I didn't do before. And I was like, let me go ahead and take care of myself first, show myself that love. And I guess in a way, like me doing that is kind of what attracted having that person pretty much, even though he was already in front of me. And I think that many women are like, okay, I want this partner, but they don't realize that they need to go ahead and show themselves that love first in order to be able to set those boundaries. Because when I met Sam, I had told him, I was like, I've had my heart broken before. Like, these are the things that I'm looking for. If you're not in a serious relationship, or if that's not what you're looking for, then this can end right here. He's like, no, like I would want to have you as my girlfriend. And like I kind of voiced my thoughts, my wants, my needs right off the bat. I wasn't playing any games, because previously men would be like, oh yeah, like I can let you know later. And it's like, no, like I need to you to tell me right now, or where I'm not going with this. And that's kind of how it went, because not many women are actually able to voice their opinions, because they're like, oh, I don't want to seem needy. And it's like, it's not you being needy, it's actually you confirming what you want.
Yeah. How how important do you think that friendship is when you start building that foundation of a relationship? Because for me, I feel like that friendship beginning where we did like, all right, did friend zone Oscar, I feel like that's really where we like laid down a really good foundation and felt comfortable enough to like, communicate and be honest with each other. How important do you think that part is? I feel like it maybe is not talked about enough, that you do need to like build that, that foundation layer. How would you go about even doing that if you just are meeting someone off the bat?
Honestly, it's just being really true to the person from the start. Like, I think when it comes to dating, right, we're usually putting this like very of like, I'm very well put together. I have
Yeah.
no like baggage or anything. I have all of this. Obviously, you're not going to say that on the first date or something like that. But the foundation of a friendship, I think, is very, very important, because that's where you are able to be open and vulnerable and be able to communicate without feeling like you're being judged, because that's really the hang up I think that we as women have, and also men, because they also have their insecurities and they want to, like, we both want to go ahead and be like, no, I'm good, like I'm all put together, but we all have our shadows that we're working on. And the foundation of a friendship is the most important one of all, I think, because if Sam and I were not friends first, I think everything would be like, oh, she's just being dramatic all the time, or she's just very impatient. And it's like, no, that's just something that we are working on. I know I'm working on personally. And then for him as well, it's like more of taking the time to understand where I'm coming from. Because also men usually like, oh, she's just dramatic, I'm not going to even bother with her right now. And I'm just going to drop that. So I think friendship definitely plays a very huge role.
Yeah. And then you talk about self love and working on kind of yourself first. How important do you think that part is for relationships, for you to work on your love, work like loving yourself and just that whole self work that we all have to go through?
Yeah, the self love is something that you should never let go of, even if you're in a relationship, even if you're married, even myself now. Like, I still have to show that to myself on a daily basis, because what we normally are doing is we're hard on ourselves.
Mhm.
And then we go ahead and just go down on a spiral of like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy of this. And it's like, you are. You're just going through certain things, or you're resolving those things that you didn't go ahead and address in the past. So it's kind of like a work in progress. I mean, we're always going to be a work in progress. So
Right.
self love is something that we should practice on a daily. It's kind of like doing your shadow work. And that's like, oh, like, for example, let's say for me, I've had a lot of hard times with friends, and now I'm opening my heart again in regards to friendship. It's like, you need to go ahead and be able to express of like, I needed you, and then that person can have the opportunity of like, you know what, I'm sorry I wasn't there, what can I do now to be there for you? So it's kind of like you having to be able to open up and communicate. It just really comes down to communication out of
Yeah.
all the things.
That's so funny. So, like, I kind of feel the same way about friendships right now, also. Like, I'm working on that as well. Do you think
Hmm.
that that is a totally different journey, or do you think it's very similar to like a romantic relationship?
It is very similar, and I think it goes even deeper because for me, I mean, I'm not sure if you've had an experience as this as well, where you've had your heart broken from a romantic relationship, but you're able to mend that, and you're like, you know what, I there's more fish in the sea, right? And then you go ahead and with your friends, your best friend that you call, you've opened up, you're vulnerable, you're yourself completely, and you say your deepest and darkest secrets, you spend like time with each other like no other. And then somehow, I mean, I think time happens, you fall apart, life happens, and you are both going on your separate paths. And I think that kind of hurts you a little bit more. I'm not sure as to why that is, but it's definitely a scar for sure that digs deeper than a romantic relationship, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like even recently, in the past couple years, I've had kind of that heartbroken um, feeling with a relationship, and I still just catch myself like thinking about it and like getting like upset about it, and I'm like, wait, like I thought I got over
Yeah.
this, I thought I healed this, but no, for sure it is sometimes just as painful as a
Hmm.
regular or a romantic heartbreak. So I want to know how you said you manifested your current husband. How
Hmm.
did Were you already into manifestation? Did you already know about it? No.
Not at
Tell me
all.
about that.
No. So what I think at that moment, I mean, on Facebook, I just write the things that I was thinking, but in this moment, I guess without even knowing it, I wrote out, I was like, this is what I want. I was like, if I exist, if I love the way I love, like there has to be another person that loves as much as I do. And I didn't know anything about manifesting. I had no idea what even manifesting was. But then a year later, I started getting into personal development due to an MLM company. And from there, I went down a rabbit hole and I found a book called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. If you haven't read that, definitely go ahead and read it. And that's where I learned about manifesting. And I was like, this is amazing. From there, I ended up saying, of like, all right, I want to have a salary of $50,000 a year. I want to go ahead and travel. I want to go ahead and own a home. And I have been able to travel more than I used to, because before I did have the mindset of like, I don't have enough money. Like I would say that all the time. And my mom's like, why do you say that? I was like, because I don't have money. But it was more of like, it's not in my budget. It's kind of like I had to reword that. And
Mhm.
now I actually started making $50,000 2 years ago at the job that I'm at. And I was like, holy hell, like I thought it was going to take forever. I don't have a college degree. I just graduated from high school. I had no idea I would be able to go ahead and make that much. And I have been traveling. I just went to Hawaii for my 30th birthday. We went to Sedona last fall. I have been able to go to just several places. And I was like, I'm finally doing all the things. And 2019 of November, we actually bought our house and moved in. So we've been living here for about a year and a half now, which is, it
Nice.
has 4 bedrooms. It has a beautiful deck. My mom actually cleans houses for a living, and we would clean houses like this as I was growing up. And I was like, I want to have a house like this. And of course, I was like, oh, I have to make like $100,000 or $1 million. Like I had no idea. And now my mortgage actually ends up being the same as my townhouse rent. And I was like, that is insane at how we can manifest.
That's so crazy. It's so funny because I kind of had a very similar journey where I got into manifesting and more spirituality through just personal development, just trying
Hmm.
to, and I got introduced to personal development at my work too. So
Oh, really
it's, yeah,
nice.
because it was like a sales position.
Okay.
And yeah, it seems like they want you to, work on
Grow.
yourself and grow.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's important when you're trying to become successful in anything. So, how did you?
definitely.
So, you didn't quite know that you were manifesting at the time,
No.
but then did you come up with some like a formula or something that you put together for to manifest love? Like, how did you combine the two? How did you know that you can manifest love?
I didn't know I could manifest love. I had no idea at all. I guess something that have been doing without even realizing it is more of like saying it, expressing it, being really in tune with my own intuition. That's something that I've always had. I never even knew about what intuition was really, like until like these past couple of years. I've been learning more about like spirituality, energy, and all of that. And it's just like the thing for me, I think, is more of like I've always been in love with love. Like I've always been in love with the moon. Something about when the moon is full, I'm like, you are so magical. You are so beautiful. And it just takes my breath away every single time it's full. And now I've been learning that there are so many, like, there are different phases of the moon that you can work with. So I was like, the new moon, I was like, oh, is that what that is? So it's like I've been learning along the way, but I think that what helped me throughout the whole entire thing is really being in love with love, which is, it sounds crazy, but it's just more of like love is such a powerful emotion. And it's like love allows you to forgive people. Love allows you to have compassion for people. Love is joy, it's bliss, and all of that. So I mean, ever since I was a little girl, I mean, I've always loved love. Disney has always shown me, of course, it's a fake kind of love that you see, but it's still love. It's having the love that I had for my friends, just going above and beyond for them growing up, and just having the love for my family and all of that. So that's kind of pretty much, I think, what kind of connected those two things together.
Nice. I absolutely love the moon too. I guess we're just moon people. No, I've always really been really attracted to the moon as well. And lately I've been listening to, well, even today I just listened to a podcast that was talking about how to work with the phases of the moon and stuff. So it's something that
Yeah.
I want to learn more about. But what do you see is the biggest obstacle when it comes to women or whoever? Like,
Mhm.
what do they face when they are trying to manifest the love that they want or just have the partnership that they desire?
I think that the biggest obstacle really is thinking that they can't have it, or thinking that they want too much, thinking that they have to be a certain way in order to have it. Of like a lot of things that I've heard from um, women and even men of it's like I want them to be a specific way, and that kind of blocks you of like, but there's so much of a variety of a person, you can't just cling on to one thing. It's kind of, I remember speaking with someone of like they broke up with their best friend as like the person that they love because they weren't into spirituality. I was like, but you're going to break your heart just because they're not into spirituality or they don't believe in a religion. But what if they're respecting you? What if they're showing you how they love you and they appreciate you and all of that? Like for me, I mean, I'm very into spirituality. I believe in a bigger source, and my husband, he doesn't believe in that, but he supports me in everything that I decide. So it's like you can't just be hung up on one thing. And also of like thinking that your looks are what matters, and it's like that doesn't matter. It's really what's in your heart that you need to go ahead and follow. And people are like, oh well, what are people going to think of like my partner, he's not that attractive. It's like it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as they are making you feel good in bed, they're making you feel good in your heart, and they appreciate you and they go above and beyond to show you that, that's all that matters.
Oh my gosh, so true, so true. I wish I knew that too when I was when I. It's funny because sometimes the person that you end up with is someone that you didn't expect at
Oh my
all.
god, yes.
And I had this idea when I was, when I before I met Oscar, that I had the idea of who exactly I wanted, like what they were gonna look like, what they were interested in. And I was like, that's part of the reason why I friend zoned him, is because I was like, you don't check these boxes. And they weren't
Mhm.
important boxes at all. They were very
Mhm.
minimal, like just stupid, honestly. But I'm so happy that I like opened up to it basically, finally.
Right.
Like I think that it's so true what you said, is that people just they're not open to, they think
Mhm.
that it has to be a certain way. I know I was definitely like that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I want to know if you have any tips for keeping long-term relationships happy. You've been in a long-term relationship. Do you have any tips for us who have been in long-term relationships?
I do. I think that we kind of lose sight of the person that we have. We kind of start to not appreciate them anymore. What I have actually been doing personally, and this is what I'm teaching to my girls, is be grateful for the person that you have by your side. Be grateful for the fact that they do maybe the smallest things. I'm like, for me, Sam, what he does is like, he's like, do you want breakfast? And he makes me breakfast. Or it's like, what would you like to have for dinner? Or he actually takes the time to talk to me when I'm having a low moment. I was like, I'm so grateful to be able to have that, and I appreciate you for that. And also keep that friendship alive. Be silly with each other and go ahead and have little small dates, whether that's going to get frozen yogurt or anything like that. It doesn't have to be crazy. Still continue to date each other too, because you kind of have to still keep that spark alive. Like, a relationship is still a work. It doesn't have to be difficult work, but it is still something that you have to put work into. So it still remains of like, oh, like this is my person. It's like, I love you. Like, you really are there for me. You appreciate me and I appreciate you. And I can't imagine my life without you. Like, now with the pandemic, there's so many couples, I'm sure, that have been getting annoyed with living with their significant other. It's like, yeah, I do the same. Like, I moved my office to our bedroom and he's in the office, and I was like, there's just too much time. So keep also like that time for yourself and do something on your own so you can come back and be like, hey, this is the fun thing that I did. What did you do? Kind of deal. So it's like, be grateful for your person, appreciate them, still have those small dates, and also still love on you, do things on your own so that you can come back to each other and it's like, what did you do today?
Yeah. I think that I struggled with that last one, was finding time for myself, because we were just like, we're just always together all the time, and even
Mhm.
now I feel like we are always together, even though there's days when he's gone all day, and then I'm like, oh, but why do you have to leave? And then it's like I'm
Yeah.
clingy. So it's
Yeah.
funny because whatever we have, whether it's too much time, I'm like, oh, I need time away from you. And then it's
Yeah.
like if we have time apart, I'm like, why? Like I just
Oh
like
no,
I
yeah,
never
for
had.
sure. I do the same thing. I was gone for probably like 4 hours or maybe like a good half of the day. And I was like, did you miss me? He's like, yeah, I did. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, I mean, you're not here. I was like, okay.
And then other times I'm like, dude, we need to have separate bedrooms. Like, no, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
But yeah, I realized how important it was for me, especially in those moments when we are spending a lot of time together, that I do need to have like at least an hour just quiet time. Like, I just love
Mm-hmm.
quiet time. I love to read by myself, or just like do something on my own that, is in
Right.
the next room or something. So I love that advice, because I think that's really important to like kind of find that balance. So tell
Definitely.
me about your Leap into Love program.
So, my Leap into Love program, I am creating for 4 months, as that was a time frame that I went ahead and manifested Sam, and that's actually a really good time frame for you to figure out what you want. I mean, you should want know what you want, but sometimes people lose, they don't have the clarity. It's not that they don't lose, it's just they don't have the clarity of what they do want, or they compare their lives to their friends of like, oh, my friend should be, I should be engaged since my friend is, or they're at that level, I'm missing out. It's like, no, like, go ahead and focus on yourself. What is it that you need? What is it that you want? And then go from there in regards to dating. And I actually go ahead and help them script that gets you out of your head and write it down in paper and actually figure out, it's like, okay, this is how I want this person to make me feel. I actually had one of my clients go ahead and do this in I want to say December, and she wrote exactly what is it that she wanted, and not even a month later she had exes coming out of the woodwork, and it was one of them that she was actually interested in, and they are now officially dating. They have been together for a while now, that they're looking into buying a place together, and I'm like, this is freaking
Nice.
amazing. So my Leap into Love is really getting you clear on what you want, focusing on you having fun, because we get so obsessed of like, I want love now, I want this to happen, I want it this way, and it's like, chill the fuck out. Go ahead and just have fun. Life will go ahead and see that you're focusing on you, you're loving you, and it's going to deliver. I mean, this is the thing of like, we don't trust that something's going to happen, so we become obsessed. And you kind of have to trust yourself. And sometimes, too, it's like, we may have been hurt, so we're kind of in that healing journey too of like, all men are crap. Everyone's going to cheat on me. And it's like, if you're going to think that way, then that's what's going to happen. And I don't like the whole of like, whatever you're thinking you attract, because it doesn't happen right away. It's more of like the consistent thoughts that you have of like, I am going to have an amazing love. Like, I deserve to have that amazing love. I am worthy of having an amazing love, a person that's going to appreciate me and love me. And that's kind of what the Leap into Love program is about.
And is it one-on-one coaching?
It is one-on-one coaching, just because I feel like for me, my energy, I'm better with one-on-one, where I can see what it is that you're doing, how you are self-sabotaging yourself, cuz we do that a lot. I know
Mhm.
I did with Sam, and I wish somebody would have told me of like, knock it out, Alejandra. I actually would break up with him every, like, the first week I actually broke up with him, and I had a dream and it told me, I was like, you need to call that man again, like, that is your guy. And I called him and I was like, hey, are you still hanging at your friends, because we were invited to a cookout. He's like, yeah. And I was like, do you mind if I come? He was like, sure. um and he actually, one of his best friend's brother was like, oh, is this your girlfriend? And he's like, no, that's my friend. And I was like, I deserve that. I deserve that. I broke up with you. And then afterwards, we were sitting by the fire, and I put my head on his shoulder. And to him, that was of like, okay, she does want to get back with me. And we started that again. And then 3 months I was like, I feel like you're going to walk out. And that was just me projecting my fears onto him. So that's kind of something that we do work on one, just because everybody has their different journeys. Everybody's gone through different things, but at the same time it's kind of like we feel like it's different, but it really isn't. I don't know how to explain that, but it is definitely a one-on-one, just to create that safety, that security between me and my client. I don't know what it is in regards to my energy. People like heal, and that's kind of what brought me into becoming a coach in the first place, because many of my friends have that safety feeling of like they can go ahead and just pour their heart out, and I can make them feel safe of like it's okay for you to feel this way, but it's time for you to go ahead and get that strength again and get back out there.
Oh my gosh. So I want to know, how do you keep yourself protected if you are dealing with people's energies and stuff, for work? How do you make sure that you are, do you have any rituals or anything that like keep you
I
just
do.
grounded or anything like that?
Yeah.
I want to know.
Well, one thing that I do, especially now that it's warm outside, I kind of go ground myself. I go walk barefoot on my grass. Another thing that I do is I have my Florida water. That's something that I just spray before my sessions, just to keep myself protected.
You
I
said Florida
also
water?
Yeah, Florida water.
Florida water. Okay. What is that?
Yep. It is kind of, I don't know the basis of it, but I know that it's charged under the moon, and there are a couple of other things in it. I honestly don't know what it is. I read it once and I don't remember it. But I
And you
buy
buy
it
it from
off.
somewhere? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do. I buy it from one of the girls that I found on Instagram through one of my coaches. And I use sage to just cleanse that negative energy if there was any. And I also kind of turned and I was like, that's not mine. Something prior, because I actually thought of becoming a therapist when I was like 19. And I was like, I take on people's emotions as I'm an empath. So I was like, I can't do that. So I actually have some crystals as well. I have tiger's eye. I actually also have black tourmaline. So whenever I have that near me. So I'm always protected, because energy is real, and I never knew how real and how like easily transmuted that can be between people, even though you're like miles away. Like I can still sense it.
Yeah. No, I love that because I definitely feel like I observe people's energies as well. Sometimes it's super strong, and I'm like, I need to
Yeah.
remember to like do some sort of protection like thing before
Hmm.
I go out sometimes, just because some people just have really strong energy and you don't want it
Yeah.
sometimes, you know?
Yes. One thing that I have learned, but this is not what I practice, wrap your head. Wrap your
Wrap
head
your head.
with like a white shirt or rag or something that you can do that kind of protects like your crown chakra,
Mm.
so nothing comes in. So
Like while
that's
you're out or just like before you go out or
either or, however
okay.
you feel like you need. If you feel like you're going somewhere that you are going to have so much energy consumed, that's
Mm.
something that I have seen a lot of my spiritual women do.
I might have to start. I don't know. Maybe get something cute that's like I can
Yeah.
wrap on my head. That might be a okay. I might start that. And then you said black tourmaline, which I have that too, but it's in our
Yes.
bedroom. I should bring it out here too.
Or get another
But
one.
yeah,
Honestly, I
yeah.
have a baby one and I have a big one.
Okay, and you can carry
Yeah,
one around with you if you want.
exactly. Yep.
Nice, nice. So tell me more about your membership program.
So my membership program is more for the women that aren't just sure to ready to commit to something, right? I made it more affordable for them. And I also want to talk more about like I was telling you with the moon magic, like every phase of the moon has its own power. Right now, also too, we as women, I think we're not very tapped into our power, especially when we're on our menstrual cycle.
Mm,
I think that is super powerful. That's one of the things that I'll be talking on the membership, that you can actually create magic or manifest with your menstrual cycle. Everything that has
mm,
a cycle pretty much has its own power. And
that's
then I'm
amazing.
just manifesting. Yeah, I know. I recently found out a couple of months about that, and I was like, that is crazy. and I'm gonna sound crazy now. You could do magic with your blood, with your menstrual cycle. You don't have to sacrifice anything. People are like, "Oh my god, like that's crazy. That's dark." It's like it's dark when you are trying to manipulate someone. It
Mhm.
is still light when it's something that you want to create for yourself. If it's business, if you want to go ahead and whatever it is that you want to manifest, more money, buying a home, just being more stable, that's something that you can go ahead and do. You can go ahead and do script with it too. That's definitely something that I haven't tapped into yet,
Mm.
but it's something that I definitely want to go ahead and learn more about, just because I never knew that our ancestors and the natives too, they use that. They believe that we as women, when we're on our menstrual cycle, that we are even more powerful. And also, as the feminine energy, we work more with the moon, and then the men, as warlocks, they would work more with the sun. But for some reason, I don't know what it is. Maybe because we have portals in our bodies. Of you, especially with you being pregnant, you're bringing a soul into this life. That is a portal on its own. I was like,
Mhm.
that is such a fascinating way to put it. So we are even more powerful being able to carry a life in our bodies. And then having cacao ceremonies, learning how to script, tapping into your feelings. I feel like we are so disconnected with our feelings that it's like being vulnerable. No, we can't do that. We have to be strong all the time. It's like it's okay for you to be vulnerable.
Mhm.
It's a space where I want to create for women to be of like, these are my goals. So everyone's going to go ahead and put in their energy of like, yeah, you're going to go ahead and do it. It's going to be amazing. Cheer each other on, be supportive. So create that kind of community, and also be like, guys, I'm having a hard day. What can I do to lift my spirits? And everybody be like, you can go ahead and do this, or we can go on a call, or we can go ahead and just give you like tips and advices for you to be able to get out of that funk.
I love that. I love everything you said about like the menstrual cycle and everything. That's something that I've also been seeing a lot more now of, even just on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. I follow a couple of girls who talk about different uses that you can use with the blood. And
Mm-hmm.
so many people are, it's because it's just not like, I guess, normal in our
Mm-mm.
society, that people are so freaked out about it. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you're showing this. Like, some people get really upset. And it's like, no, it's like, it's natural. It's normal. It's like, why is it so upsetting? Like, for
Right.
some people, it's so triggering. But I think that with the more conversations we have like this around that,
Mm-hmm.
we can kind of start to change the like perception around it, I guess. But
Definitely.
that membership sounds super interesting. I'm like, I actually am quite interested in
Yes,
it.
definitely. I have a lot of projects that I'm working on, that I'm putting together, and that is one of them. I think that it would be very amazing for many women to join, especially just more of creating that community. So that's kind of what brought that up, as well as like having a new moon and full moon ritual, because that's kind of where it stemmed from. But I was like, I don't want to just stick with the moon phases. I wanted to be all about magic. And
Mhm.
our world is full of magic, but so many people just focus on the negative aspects of like everything's going wrong, the way our countries are going, the wars that are happening, the pandemic. And it's like, yes, that is happening, and I'm not saying to ignore that, but I want you to go ahead and face more of like what's going on internally, because when you change internally is what is projected outwards, and we can go ahead and create more light than more darkness.
I completely agree. I think the more people, heal themselves and just kind of realize that the magic that everyone has within them, then our outer reality will start to change and shift. And I think
Exactly.
that's kind of where we're headed towards, which is really nice. But I
I
think
know, I'm
we need
excited.
people like you, and to, just bring that consciousness, just bring more
Hmm.
awareness to people. So that's really amazing. Do you have a favorite impact story of anyone who has joined any of your programs that that sticks out to you? I know you shared one earlier, but do you have any other favorite ones?
I do actually, with you asking about how do you keep the relationships, the long-term relationships more alive. one of my clients was feeling like her marriage was falling apart, and she had just given birth to her first daughter, and they had moved back home because he was in the military, and they were now back to what is the term that they use, the citizens or civilians. They were
Mm.
back to the civilian life, and they just kind of were at a moment of like in limbo, and they went and moved back into his parents life, not life but their home. And he was pretty much, he found a new job, he was under stress, they were going through so many changes. She was pregnant with her second baby, and she just felt super overwhelmed, and she's like, my marriage is falling apart, can you help me? And I was like, definitely. So I was like, tell me what's going on. And she was like, well, this is what's going on, I like, we barely have any money. And I was like, okay. I was like, what can you do right now? And she was like, well, we are under this. I was like, have you expressed this to your partner? She was like, no. It's like, why not? It's like, he should already know. It's like, he doesn't know what you are dealing with on a daily basis, what your chores are, what you do on the tasks that you're taking care of for you or the baby. And I was like, what do you do when you get up in the morning? And she's like, I just go ahead and get up and get the baby ready. I was like, so you don't do anything for yourself? She's like, no. I was like, okay. What you need to do is at least take 10 minutes to 30 minutes earlier than what you typically do. Get yourself ready. Go ahead and write at least 5 things that you're grateful for. And I followed up with her a week later, and she was like, everything has changed dramatically. Like, my husband, he's being so much better. I realized that he's under stress. He doesn't have any friends now back home since we've gotten back. And he's helping out more and helping out with the baby. And I was like, that's amazing. Like, that's just that small little tweak helps and makes such a big difference. And she was like, I'm also getting myself ready. I do my hair and I put a little bit of makeup on, and I feel so much better just by doing that, like lifting up your spirits. I was like, that's awesome. And now they actually just bought their townhouse after a year of being back, and they are doing so great.
That's so amazing. And it's so helpful to have someone who can give you like a just a non-biased perspective of like cuz sometimes we're so into it and we don't
Yeah.
realize like what we're doing that is like messing things up. But just
Mm-hmm.
those little tweaks like I've been talking a lot about prioritizing my joy and my feeling
Mm-hmm.
good. So I think that that little tweak, just even in my day, has been really helpful for my relationship and for my work. It's like when you show up for yourself and you realize that you've done something for yourself, you make yourself feel good. Like that just feeling good changes the way you show up to everything else in your day. So it's so
Definitely.
nice that you were able to show her that and be just that like third perspective that people
Mm-hmm.
just need sometimes. So
Right. Exactly.
do you have any future plans that you're working on? I know you have the two programs. Do you have anything else that you're currently working on that you want to share?
So this is actually something that I wanted to go ahead and create. It's actually a little bit in the air, might be happening next year. It's gonna be like a little weekend retreat. I
Ooh.
think I have like with the events that I have, with my wine event that kind of kicked off my coaching program, and then I had another girl Galentine's event at my house. I realize that the energy that we have when we share and we tell our stories, the things that we've overcome, the things that are kind of like still bugging us, it helps to realize that we're not alone. So I am thinking of creating a weekend retreat in Colorado, and just getting an Airbnb and having either another coach or two coaches with me, just because as a projector, that's a lot of energy for me. So I want to go ahead and spread that out. And that's kind of what will be coming up sometime in the next year or two, hopefully.
Wow, so that sounds really cool. So
Yeah.
definitely keep us all updated about that and tell us where people can find you and connect with you.
So I am really just available on Instagram. I hope that in the next couple of months I will be able to have my own website. But for right now, you can just follow me on Instagram at Manifest with Alejandra.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It was such a pleasure talking with you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.